Herbert gets the hand pass to Can, fires up towards goal. And they've got their 10th and their highest score ever in AFLW footy.
Kick around the corner from Sermon won't be enough. The Saints break through for their first win of the season.
Feed it forward, Conway has loved a goal today. She's kicked them from left and from right, and now on the run, and she'll send another one through. With that goal, the Brisbane Lions have now registered the highest ever score.
Well, what a moment for the Brisbane Lions, the highest AFLW score in history. It was a huge Indigenous round. We're going to unpack, obviously, the Lions game and so much more over the course of the next 20 minutes or so. Welcome to the W Show. Thanks, of course, to NAB, Sarah Black and Bulldog star Bonnie Toogood. Join me, as always, Sarah. We've had a footy frenzy, 10 games played in the last week. Are you okay? It's good to see you, but you must be fatigued.
Look, it's been a little bit of footy overload, but what has been so enjoyable has been that, you know, we've really had some really interesting results that are going to decide the makeup of the final.
We certainly have. Bonnie,
Yes.
you've played 2 games in 5 days. The question is, how are you?
How am I? I'm okay. I'm a little bit tired. We've played 2 games in 5 days, but we've also done 3 games in, I think, 9 days. I'm tired. I feel in every bit of 24.
Oh, you are so old.
I like that line.
You just like making us uncomfortable with that line, don't you?
She's actually been working on that for the last 3 hours in
Absolutely.
pre-production. I do want to talk about the Doggies because it was a bit of a crunch game against the Pies. Unfortunately, the result didn't go the way that you would have liked. After the match, your coach, in his press conference, sort of pointed out the fact that you are one of a couple of players who are barely hanging on. You're pretty cooked. Just talk us through, I guess, you know, what this season has been like for you.
It's been one I couldn't have predicted. Barely hanging on. Okay, I think I might have to have some words with Berkey. But it's been tough, especially with our group being in the health and safety protocols and then rolling into so many games so quickly, and we've never done that before.
Yeah.
I think we've handled ourselves quite well and actually played some really exciting football. But just, I guess against Collingwood, would have got us in the top 6. Now we need to rely on results now, so make sure that we win our next 2 games. But it's been tough, but we've done it. We've got a young list, so that's on our side, and they bounce back very quickly.
I think what's been really noticeable about the Dogs is the improvement on last year. We knew that this was going to be the year where you guys were going to make a real impact, and you have. Unfortunately, COVID got in the way a little bit. A finals, is it a step too far now?
I don't think so. Like, you don't want to shy away from the finals because that's what we're here to play. And yes, we've made it difficult for ourselves, and we do have to rely, as I said, on other results now. But if we win our next 2 games, we put our best foot forward and we want to be there. I think we can challenge the great teams in this league. So don't count us out. Now we've got a 6-day break, longer than we've had in a little while. So we'll come into Saturday refreshed and put on a good show at Optus Stadium.
Well, let's see what the ladder looks like at the moment after 8 rounds of footy, and it's pretty tight there. As we mentioned, you've obviously got West Coast in Perth, then the Lions in Ballarat, so anything is possible. And we saw the last time you had a 6-day break, you beat the Adelaide Crows, who are top of the table right now, so anything is possible. I do, though, however, want to delve a little deeper into what happened against Collingwood, because their coach Steve Simons spoke during the week in the lead up to the game, talking about how they had to change their game plan midweek. They've done that. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly falling into place, and unfortunately for you and your Bulldogs, it all clicked on Sunday. Talk me through what you saw.
They played fast. They wanted to get the ball moving through the corridor, and they got so many rebounds from half back, and that's where they scored, as we can see in this clip. And they ran in waves, and it was really impressive. It was hard to stop with Slisher just running off half back every single moment she could, and we didn't adjust quick enough to stop that run.
I think it's a really brave move for a club to change their game plan halfway through the season. to acknowledge that, hey, this isn't working. One of the reasons Simon said in his presser that it wasn't working was the pressure that teams like Adelaide and Fremantle and Brisbane bring. Their game plan wasn't stacking up, and they were going, okay, let's not wait till the end of the season to change this. Let's do something about it now. How would you, as a player, Bonnie, cope with a changing game plan halfway through a season?
I think it's a weird one because you're so used to what you know, and this is our game plan. You have belief in it, but then when you start getting results where you're like, oh, actually, I think I'm questioning how we're moving the footy, and then if a coach comes in with a strong opinion, being like, no, this is what we're going to do, you trust the coach, and you have to just back it in. And we saw that on the weekend. They ran with freedom. They trusted that each other were going to win the ball at the contest and then spread quickly and be really direct with their ball movement. So it's been a good play by the coach.
Yeah, and certainly because they gave their forwards a little bit more supply. But the win did come at a cost, and we hate these conversations, but Britt Benici, obviously a star of the game, the vice-captain of the Collingwood Football Club there, going down with what we all expect to be the worst possible outcome, an ACL, so she'll join the captain in Bree Davey on the sidelines, which is so unfortunate.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because there's a knock-on effect of moving Kyochi from the wing to the middle of the ground. I expect Ebony O'Day to be the next one into the midfield mix as well. She's been out of the side for a couple of weeks, but then all of a sudden you've got some of the younger players who are entrusted to that wing role that the Pies use a lot. So Amelia Villado on the weekend had to really play a really strong game in order to cover for Kyochi.
All right, we'll see how the Pies go against the Crows. It'll be a big test this weekend. Time now, though, for our unsung hero, and a big shout out to Melbourne's Shelley Heath, because she was thrown forward given the defensive role on Emma Carney, limited her to just 11 touches, which is her lowest disposal tally in her career. An excellent move from the coach, Mick Stanier.
Absolutely fantastic move. She's a very disciplined player. Here we can see she doesn't even go near the ball, and she goes and locates Carney straight away and then is able to lay a great tackle on her. And it's such a disciplined, selfless role that she played on the weekend, and it's a credit to her, and she had 8 tackles, so clearly doing her job. So great move by Stanier there.
Well, this was Mick Stanier after the game.
Loves the role and loves the challenge. Really enjoy coaching her, and she was open to that challenge tonight. And Emma's been brilliant off half back, and certainly not a player you can let sort of dictate the game from back there. So I thought she did a really good job of denying Emma some space tonight. And we'll go back and look at Freo and see how Shelley can help us next week.
So Sarah, question for you: where does Shelley go? Who does she go to against Freo?
Few options, and now we know she can play forward and back. I think she's got the speed to go with Michaela Tuakarena. I'm just not sure there's too many other Ds who've got that speed with her. But another one could be Cara Antonio. She's just a really strong conduit into that forward line. So shut down Cara, and you may dry up some of the Freo's scoring power.
So the Ds are 7-1, second on the ladder at the moment, just behind the Crows on percentage. Talking about their flag credentials, are they the real deal, and do you think that they can go the whole way?
I think they've bolstered their forward line. I think they're a stronger unit this year. They've been very consistent over the past 6 seasons, but I think Taylor Harris is just having such a consistent year. She's presenting, she's kicking goals every game, and I think that's really important for them, and just their ball movement. They're clean and composed when they have the footy and have great entries inside forward 50. So I think they're going to go deep into finals.
The other genuine flag contender, of course, is the top of the table Adelaide Crows. We can't not talk about them when we talk about premiership hopes, and they have a real hunger, speaking to Ebony Marinoff a couple of weeks ago, that's just driving them after losing that grand final to the Lions last year, Sarah. But it's crazy to think that this side can still get stronger, because Erin Phillips didn't play on the weekend. Chelsea Randall's only played just the 3 games this season. Their depth has been incredible to cover.
It's their depth, and it's also their maturity. So, a couple of years ago, if it was no Phillips, no Randall, the Crows were in trouble. But this year they've been able to cover those sort of roles. They also don't have Ange Foley this year, who's been a pretty important loss as well. But it's the younger players who have come in. Chelsea Bedell, Rochelle Martin was excellent on the weekend. So they've just really developed those players really well, and they're playing with the confidence that a premiership winning side can.
They have contributors all around the ground. They had 16 players in double digits on the weekend. So yes, we have
and against Fremantle
correct, a high tackling team. You have Hatchard and Marinoff who accumulate so much ball, but they also had so many other players that got their hands on the footy, and that's just so important.
So Erin's absence this round meant she was stranded on 46 career goals, which left the race to 50 wide open, and it was Darcy Vesio. What a star they have been in the competition since its inception. The first player ever to kick 50 career goals, and it wasn't the most brilliant goal, but it was still a moment to savour for Darcy.
An amazing moment for Darcy. They've been a foundation player in this league, and so great to see them achieve such a milestone and
probably fitting that, you know, a player who burst onto the scene in the very first AFLW game is the first one to notch up 50 games.
Speaking of milestones, the Lions got one as well on the weekend. The highest ever AFLW score, 98. They were so close to notching up the ton, which has never been done before in the AFLW competition. But Greta Bodie unfortunately missed that shot with 3 minutes to go, so wasn't able to get that done. But Sarah, this Lions team, they were so dominant. I know it was against West Coast, but geez, they're good.
They really are. I think that their ability to spread from the contest, to switch lanes so effortlessly and to find space and lower their eyes going inside 50, that was really noticeable. They were really hitting up direct targets. And they've put the competition on notice. They can score, and they can score heavily.
So it's been a really strange week for the Saints because on Wednesday night there was absolute heartbreak when they lost the game after the siren to the Giants. They were up by 4 points with 15 seconds left on the clock. Some controversy, which we will get to in just a minute, but 4 days later that agony turns to ecstasy because they managed to get their very first win in 336 days. Nick Del Santo gets his first win as coach, which is fabulous. He's probably had about 20 mini heart attacks in the last week. And Sarah, it was just great to see them get a win.
It really was. I think, you know, my heart was in my mouth watching Sarah Perkins take that shot because you back her 99 times out of 100. So I can't imagine what it would have been like to be a Saints fan or a Saints player. But I think, you know, they've been showing great improvement this year, and this might just open the floodgates.
So I want to go back to that loss against the Giants. It was a fairly dramatic finish. I don't think there's any sugarcoating that. This was the free kick here that led to that 50-metre penalties. Your thoughts, Bonnie, on this one? Because my initial reaction was that's not really a free kick.
This is footy. Like, they're both two athletes, competitive beasts that want to win the game for their team. And they've just found themselves in a tussle. They're both holding on to each other. For me, I think it's a really stiff free kick.
Yeah, I think ideally, you know, that would just be an umpire coming over and going, come on, girls, get up, let's get on with this, rather than a free kick, but that's footy.
It is, and then Pepper Randall here just giving a little bit of extra lip to Kate Sheila on the way through. You probably would rather just, I guess, enjoy what was a really thrilling finish. The other moment that we want to talk about, though, goes back to 1:42 left on the clock, and it's when Tani White has a free kick. So she gets a free kick here, and from the point that she receives the ball to the point of contact with the foot, you can see here that the clock stays on 1:42. The clock doesn't restart because the umpire, unfortunately, it doesn't appear that there was a whistle to call time on, so the timekeeper wouldn't have known. So we've calculated that 23 seconds have been lost in the game, and the siren should have gone 23 seconds earlier, so technically the Saints would have won. Sarah, just talk us through this situation. You've got some breaking news for us.
Yeah, so in this situation, as you said, the umpire didn't call time on, so the timekeepers are they're hamstrung.
Yeah.
They can't do anything until the umpire signals time on. So as you said, 23 seconds elapsed. So the Saints have contacted the AFL about this missing 23 seconds, and the Saints have said that they're happy with the AFL's response in regards to this. It does happen a lot in footy because it is human error. It's part and parcel of the game. It's incredibly unfortunate that it happened when it did.
Bonnie, your thoughts on this whole situation? I mean, it's not ideal, and you never think that something like this is going to eventually potentially cost, you know, a side a game, but as a player, if you were playing for the Saints, how would you feel?
It's a tough one going into the rooms after that game. I'd be fairly disappointed, and then having that information presented to me, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Clearly, though, it didn't worry them too much. They came back and were able to move on and get a close win again. And yeah, it's a real tough pill to swallow, but you said human error happens in the game. It was just really unfortunate of the timing of it all and then what eventuated after the fact.
And I guess the best thing you can do in that situation, because it's out of your control now, is just move on. And they did that, and we're so glad that after 336 days, they finally got a win. So well done to the Saints. Well, it's time now for Eyes on the Rise as we take a look at what makes last week's NAB AFLW Rising Star nominee Lizzie Georgia-Stathis tick.
Sauce definitely in the fridge, eat it cold. Justin Bieber, 100%. Dream job would be teacher. I've always wanted to become one since I was little. Most annoying teammate would definitely be Kirsty, 100%. There's no one even close to her. Best friend of the club, or there's too many. I don't think I could choose one. Yeah, too many. Favourite men's player would be Cody Waitman. I think he's just so feisty and fast, and I love watching him play. I have 2 dogs, 1 cat, and some people call one of my dogs a rat, so that can count. Who would play me in a movie? I don't know. Maybe like somebody who's stupid or something, I don't even know. I'll say cool, calm and collected, at times. If we need a spray, he'll give it. I'd say funny, leader, and she's a gun.
She's a gun. Did you pay her to say that?
Paid her lots of monies for her to say that.
What 3 words would you use to describe your teammate, who you call Lizzie G, which is much easier than saying Lizzie Georgia-Stathis?
Yeah, for Lizzie G, I'd say caring, fierce and inspiring.
Oh.
Lovely.
She's awesome. She's a really
You had the
great
opportunity
woman.
to throw her under the
No.
bus, but no.
Not to my little Lizzie G.
Oh, there you go. And Isabella Eddy, we should mention too, was the other NAB AFLW Rising Star nominee last week. And thanks to Zena Sport, a valued NAB customer, Lizzie G will be getting a Zena Z1 vest to ensure she is protected at all times out on the footy field and feels empowered enough to play her best. So check out zenasport.com. All right, before we go, we must talk about what a fantastic celebration Indigenous round was. From the pre-game ceremonies that were out there to the Indigenous Guernseys that were specially designed, and the stories and the meaning behind all of them. We had boots that were designed as well. It was just such a great round, one that I wish we could celebrate on a weekly basis, really, Bonnie. How was it playing in it for you?
It's such a powerful round, this sense of connectedness, education that you get during this round. As you said, I'd love to be able to celebrate it every single time we play. And it's a really powerful round. It gets me quite emotional when I learn more about our First Nations people, and then also their willingness to share their stories is the most important.
Now, you've got a bit of show and tell. I feel like we're going back to primary school. What have you brought in today, Bonnie?
Oh, thanks. I'm really excited to be here this morning with my show and tell. These are a pair of boots that Kirby Bentley painted for me.
She's incredible, isn't she?
This round. She's been wonderful for us this year, coming in a breath of fresh air. And as I said, she's been vulnerable and shared her story about who she is, where she comes from, and a lot about her family. And she's given us gifts like this. She painted also 12 of the other girls' boots, as well as some from other teams as well. So she's been working hard this week, but all in just a love of the game and to share the Indigenous art and what they've done for the game. So really want to thank her for what she's done. And if you have a look, we've got this symbol here. It means human track. So for me, that resonated as journey. And then on the back, we've got some boomerangs, which is, reaching for what you want. So I thank her, and it was an amazing weekend.
It certainly was. And if you want to learn more about Kirby and her story, you can head to women's.afl and the AFLW Live official app. There is a wonderful feature on her online at the moment. Now, before we go, the buzz. We've got to catch up with what's been trending on social media. And the first one, Amara Cameron. I cannot believe she just kicked that. Just casual as you like. Oh, yeah, just do that all the time. Could you kick that?
I'd give me a few attempts, but probably not.
All right.
But she's bending angles there.
Get to work. You've got a 6-day break. That's what you're working on. And this was posted by Lily Mithen. Poor Eliza McNamara here getting stuck under the banner. That's a little bit embarrassing. You'd hope that no one saw that, but
How good that banners are back, though, but that's unfortunate for Liza Mack there.
And I don't know if Eliza's a bit superstitious, but if that happened to me before a game, I'd be like, right, this is it. I'm going to have the worst game of my life here.
Oh dear. And now this video is absolutely insane, and we are sending all of our thoughts and positive vibes to everyone in Brisbane and southeast Queensland at the moment. Please stay safe. But this is Maroochydore Sports Complex, where there is a game of football due to be played in 6 or so days' time, Sarah, the Lions and the Roos, but it's a swimming pool at the moment.
Yeah.
What's going on with this game?
It really is. I feel like football's probably the last thing on the minds of Queenslanders at the moment. But the Lions have hosted games at Metricon Stadium this year, and I imagine that ground will come into consideration if Maroochydore is unavailable.
Well, it's a watch and see, but for all of your news, of course, AFLW app and women's.afl will have you covered. Bonnie, great to have you in. You are looking every bit of your 24. Loving it.
Much.
Good luck this weekend, and we can't wait to see what the Bulldogs might produce in the next 2 weeks.
Thanks for having me.
Sarah, as always, love your work.
Thanks, Nat.
Thanks to you all out there for watching The W Show. Thanks to Nav. We'll see you again, same time, same place next week.